Okay, we're here with Lenny-Wayne Patterson. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, Lenny. Do you go by Lenny or
Lenny-Wayne, that's,
Lenny-Wayne? Okay.
yeah.
Okay, Lenny-Wayne, and you are a you have a lot of experience with fabrication. Do you want to just tell us about your background?
Uh, yeah, um, I've, uh, I've been a mechanic since I was born. Uh, I mean, I've been tinkering with stuff ever since I was big enough to pick up a wrench. And,
Great.
I, um, when I went in high school, I took diesel mechanics, and the reason I chose that was because I already knew everything there was about auto mechanics at the time, so I wanted to learn something a little bit different, so I took diesel mechanics, 2 years of it, and learned quite a bit. Um, Learned how to weld and stuff like that in there. Um, and from there, I got a job in this little small town just a little ways away from us, uh, fabricating parts and assembly jigs and stuff for a leather goods manufacturer. Also built some machines that would fold and crease leather and stuff like that. A lot of them had to be heated to seal. You know, they had like a heat activated glue, so when it folded it had to heat it, and so it would seal it down. Um, I worked on presses, sewing machines, uh, what they call slitters, that cut the leather down to end piece. Uh, and my boss that I worked for there was from Germany, and he was probably the most perfectionist I have ever met in my life.
Okay, that's good news. Yeah.
Yeah, and under that tutelage, it was like fresh out of high school, and that has stuck with me throughout my life. And it was always, even if it was perfect, it could be done better.
I love that. Yeah, I worked kind of for a guy like that too. He yelled at me for about a year and a half as I renovated his house. He was he taught me a lot. I wish I could
Yeah,
spend more time with him. And he had more tools than I've ever seen anybody own in my whole life.
yeah, yeah. I totally understand that. Uh, he would, well, working with leather, it stretches and, it'll twist and everything else. And when I designed and built these assembly jigs and everything, my tolerances was the thickness of a line on a 64th inch gauge. You know what I mean?
No, I don't. Is that like a line on a piece of paper?
Well, it's actually thinner than a line on a piece of paper. It's if you take a normal ruler, they usually go down to a 16th.
Oh, I got you.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
64.
32nds,
All right.
then there's 64s. You cut up an inch into 64 pieces, and
Wow.
my tolerances was the width of that 64th line. I could be on the heavy side of the line or the light side of the line, but he preferred the middle.
How do you do working with people? Are you interested in being a teacher?
Well, I've kind of got a natural instinct for teaching as well. I enjoy sharing my knowledge. Uh, I, it's I love, especially with kids or young people. I say kids, and kids nowadays for me is like 30 or younger.
Okay. All right.
But uh, I enjoy teaching them, and I really like seeing that light bulb go on inside their head when they understand something, you know, and they fully grasp something, understand how. For instance, I was teaching a kid how to weld, and I was explaining to him why you move the rod in this way and everything, and why you pull the rod a little bit higher up on the thicker piece of metal as opposed to the thinner piece of metal. And it was like, I could see it in his eyes. All of a sudden, he got it, you know.
So you don't get too much heat on that thinner piece, is that right?
Right, right. And you end up getting
he was like, yeah, light bulb.
A good blended weld where your penetration is equal on both pieces of metal. I mean, if you do percentage-wise, you know. So you get the strongest weld you can have when you're bonded to unsimilar thicknesses of metal.
All right.
And I taught him several different types of motions. There's a circular motion where you're just kind of drawing tiny circles. And one that I kind of like, especially if you're having to go uphill or something like that, is like a double horseshoe. And you come up in the middle, you know, and you do a little horseshoe and come up on the side and come back up in the middle and then back up on the other side and back up in the middle. And if you do it right and your temperatures are all set right, you get this little bead of slag right down the center. And you can just smack it on the top and it'll fall off all the way down it.
What are you saying? It falls apart?
Yeah, like if you're welding two pieces of metal together.
Yeah.
And especially uphill, that little double horseshoe thing really works good because you're kind of pulling metal, trying to pull the metal up, as opposed to letting it fall to the ground, you know.
Yeah, like kind of aggregating one big mess. You
right.
Want to build it up.
Right. You end up with these big blobs.
Yep. I've done my fair share of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Lenny-Wayne, I'm sorry, man. I got to kind of keep this to 15 minutes.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that. We can spend maybe a little bit more time, but how are you in the shop? Are you pretty quick too? I know you're very precise, but oftentimes the trade-off is it takes longer. Are you able to kind of do quick fabrication? Quick. Okay.
I'm pretty quick, and especially if I get a routine down, and I've got a little bit of OCD in me that once I get a routine, I stick to it, and
that can be a good thing. Yeah.
Increases speed, you know.
Yep. Okay. Where do you live now? Oklahoma?
No, yeah, I live in Oklahoma. I live right on Red River.
And you'd be willing to relocate here?
Where is here?
Okay, we're in Missouri.
Missouri. I'd have to talk to my wife. See everything. Now, I do need to let you know some things.
Sure.
I was working in Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I worked for Williams and Dickey Work Clothes.
Yep.
And I designed automated machines for their sewing and stuff. And but I was involved in 2 car accidents that's wiped out my back pretty good.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and it pretty much ended my full-time working. I'm on full disability right now.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind. I think I could do teaching, you know. I think I could handle the teaching part, but I don't think I would be able to do, 8-hour work day where I'm sitting welding or, any one thing continuously anymore. It's just not not my ability. And I never know when things are going to act up with me, because I've also found out that I've got a disease called ankylosing spondylitis, which causes all the large joints in your body to grow together, and they end up fusing when you can't move.
Oh, yeah. Man,
So,
that must be painful.
you know, as far as a worker, I probably wouldn't be what you really needed. But
What about machine design? You interested in doing some machine design?
Yeah, I love CAD work. I love that, and I've designed a lot of equipment, especially automated stuff for Dickies. It was kind of like if they could cut a couple of people out of a process and let just one person do it, they wanted to do it.
All right,
And,
how about this, man? Are you interested if we gave you some dimensions? Could you create a CAD model with one of our prototypes, just as a little test?
I'm sure I could.
Would you want to do that? We could start there.
Thing I'm having problems with now.
Yep.
The CAD program that I used was VeriCAD, because I'm a Linux user, by the way, and they have priced it way out of my range. Now, it's worth every penny they're asking for it. I can honestly say that, but it's just not in my ability to do it. And I've got a new program that I'm trying. It's called FreeCAD, and I haven't mastered it yet. But I work on it daily, trying to get better at it.
That's too bad, man. I don't know if you can use SketchUp with Linux. Let me see here.
Well, I'd have to install Wine, because SketchUp is a Windows and Mac only. But I've heard of people using Wine, which is Wine stands for Wine is not an emulator, but it emulates Windows environment. It's like a virtual machine. Is what it is.
That's okay. So we got to figure out what to do. It seems like you could be a really good fit as a machine designer. You could even do it from where you are probably.
That would be great.
And we actually, Martian's a TED fellow. The TED Network offers free Inventor. What is it? I believe it's the AutoCAD Inventor platform that we can get free licenses for that. So we might be able to get you a copy of that. But I want to see some examples of your work, man.
I've got another computer. I could probably install Windows on it. It's just, I am not a big fan of Windows. It's just Microsoft.
Yeah.
I don't like giving Bill so much money, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, he's got plenty.
Well, what do you suggest we do? I guess you're trying FreeCAD. I don't have a lot of faith that that's going to be robust enough for what we want. What can we do?
It's very easy. I don't know if you tried it or not, but it's a three-dimensional CAD, and it does produce IGES file formats and step formats.
Yep.
And I think it does DXF, and
all right.
I don't know about DWG though.
All right. You know, we got some pretty big projects that you could really help us out with. We're trying to get our CNC torch table running.
Yeah.
Do you think you could help out with that?
I'm sure I could.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Are you using just oxygen acetylene torch, or are you using like a
yeah, it's oxy, but we want to use we've got a, I mean, it'd be nice to be able to do a plasma cutter on there too sometime.
Well, see, the thing is, with a plasma cutter, you're going to have to shield your motors and the wires and everything, because that plasma, oh man, you talking about noise. And I've already run into that before. I made me a little CNC thing here in my shop, just to cut out foam that I can sandcast. I can cut out the part that I want out of a piece of foam and then put it in some of this sand clay mixture and then melt my aluminum and just pour it in on top of it. And as long as it's spinning fairly well, I'll get a nice clean part.
Yeah, that's amazing. We'd love to have your involvement. I mean, those skills are crucial for what we're doing. How about, can you send us some examples of your work? Do you have any like CAD that we can look at now, or anything, any pictures or videos or?
I think I could get a hold of some CAD, some drawings of some CAD. I did some work. Me and my son-in-law we were going to go into the business of working on RC models and doing scale RCs. And I drew up several things for them, like a rear bumper with tire rack / tank rack / several different things. And I could send you a picture of that. It's a fairly complicated drawing.
Okay. Why don't you do that? That'd be great to see. I think also with your background, it'd be awesome for you to make our fab drawings from the models. Because you would know what a fabricator would need to see on some shop drawings. So that'd be a good crossover there too. But
I could convert the 3D down to like actual plans for each part that you can take out in the shop and work, because I've had to do that myself.
There you go. All right. Well, let me. I gotta stop this recording because it's getting too long for just the initial one. But why don't I'm really excited about your skills, and let's take a look at your CAD. So that'll be your next step. We'll wait for that from you, and then I'll show this to Martin, and then once we get that, we'll review it and we'll talk to you again. Okay?
All right. Can I get your email so I can maybe I can mail you some places where I'll put some